Well, good evening once again. Day 1341 of this Trump administration. 43 days to go until our presidential election. 8 days remain until that first presidential debate. We begin this Monday night, this new week, with a presidency with even more on the line than before, if possible. The fight over a Supreme Court vacancy has injected a new measure of uncertainty into a campaign already drubbed by a global pandemic that has now taken over 200,000 American lives. It's a sorry and massive milestone that just arrived. It's almost too large to comprehend. Tonight in Ohio, remaining true to form, Trump didn't mention the 200,000 lives lost, but framed his handling of the coronavirus crisis as a success.
We have 3 vaccines right now that are right there. They're right at the starting gate, and they're going to be fantastic. So it's great. And with Biden, if you had that regime, you'd be 3 years away because they would have never gotten out of the FDA. What we've done in a very safe manner is amazing. Our bold and early action saved millions of lives. We're developing these great vaccines, and that's going to be literally, these will be done in record time, like nobody's ever done it before.
This, of course, if you've been following along, is not the first time that Trump has praised his own performance when it comes to dealing with this virus.
Think of the number, 2.2, potentially 2.2 million people if we did nothing. And so if we could hold that down, as we're saying, to 100,000, between 100 and 200,000, we all together have done a very good job. If we do a really good job, we'll be at about 100,000 to 240,000 deaths.
We're rounding the corner on the pandemic, and we've done a phenomenal job, not just a good job, a phenomenal job. On the job itself, we take an A+.
In Wisconsin, Biden hammered Trump for his response as he tried to keep the focus squarely on the impact of this virus.
What worries me now is we've been living with this pandemic for so long, I worry we're risking becoming numb to the toll that is taken on us and our country. The president knew of these dangers back in February, and he hid it from the American people. He said he didn't want to see the American people panic. He didn't want to panic them. Trump panicked. The virus was too big for him. And with this crisis, a real crisis, the crisis that required serious presidential leadership, he just wasn't up to it. He froze.
This pandemic is now the 4th largest mass casualty event in American history. The other 3 are the Civil War, World War II, and the pandemic of 1918. As this 2020 pandemic rages across our country, there's now good reason to question what we are hearing and not hearing from the CDC. Just days ago, the agency posted official guidance on its website that indeed the virus was mainly spread through the air. But this morning, that guidance disappeared into thin air. The CDC now says the posting was a draft that was placed there prematurely. But this comes as the agency is under fire for another reversal on the matter of testing. More on that ahead. As we mentioned, the Supreme Court vacancy following the death Friday of Justice Ginsburg has added new urgency to the campaign. Trump has made it clear he plans to name a replacement and expects Republicans in the Senate to vote to confirm as soon as possible, meaning before the November 3rd election. Tonight at his rally, where his campaign handed out signs to the crowd that read, "Fill the seat," he boasted about his plans and warned supporters about a potential Biden court.
I will soon announce a nominee for the United States Supreme Court. Probably announce the person. I don't want to make the men too angry. It will be a woman. Is that okay? Biden has refused to list the names of his potential justices because he knows they're too extreme to withstand any form of public review. If Joe Biden and the Democrats take power, they will pack the Supreme Court with far-left radicals who will unilaterally transform American society far beyond recognition They will mutilate the law, disfigure the Constitution, and impose a socialist vision from the bench.
Two names that have emerged as frontrunners are federal judges Amy Coney Barrett and Barbara Lagoa. Both have the seal of approval from conservative legal groups. Trump met with Judge Barrett today at the White House, and before leaving for Ohio, he indicated he would announce his choice by the end of this week.
I would say on Friday or Saturday, I'll be announcing the pick. We'll make a decision probably Saturday, but Friday or Saturday. I'd much rather have a vote before the election because there's a lot of work to be done, and I'd much rather have it. We have plenty of time to do it.
What would be your concern if the vote happened after Election Day?
No concern. I just think it would be better. They asked, would I rather have it? I'd rather have it before the election. I think it would be better for our country.
Republicans say there's no reason for them not to name and vote on a replacement because the Senate and the White House are held by the same party by their figuring. This afternoon, Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer faced off on the Senate floor.
President Trump's nominee for this vacancy will receive a vote on the floor of the Senate. The Senate has more than sufficient time to process a nomination.
The Senate has never confirmed a nominee to the Supreme Court this close to a presidential election. 4 brave Senate Republicans may be the Senate's only last hope.
Republican Senators Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, Susan Collins of Maine have said they oppose voting before the presidential election. We have yet to hear from Mitt Romney, and this is important. This is a test of Mitt Romney, make no mistake about it. But it is looking unlikely that Chuck Schumer will be able to get the 4 Republicans he needs to stop this process.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.